Regenerations, they can bring sadness or celebration, adulation or apathy, and soon we will be experiencing one once more. But the question of whose face is going to be on the other side of that regeneration is still yet to be known. But fear not, dear faithful viewer, for today, I'll be going over when I think it's likely that we'll meet 14, so sit back, relax, get comfortable, subscribe, because we're going to figure out when the next Doctor's going to arrive. I was being completely serious earlier, please do subscribe. We're about like 130 subscribers away from 10,000, so if just a small percentage of you lot subscribe that are watching this video right now, we'll probably make it to 10,000, which would be my goal for absolutely forever. So if we could get there, it would just be fantastic. It would really make my day. So if you could click subscribe, I would be ever so grateful. So I think what's interesting about the 14th Doctor is that we've actually been waiting a lot longer than I think some people might suspect. Today marks the 168th day between Jodie being announced to be leaving and us waiting for the 14th Doctor, making it the second longest wait for a new Doctor in the history of the entire show, only beaten by Eccleston's 178-day wait between the show being revived and Eccleston being announced. And it seems very likely that the wait for the 14th Doctor will outdo that. But the question is, by how much? Here is a graph that shows the exact wait times between each Doctor, with the one outlier mainly being Paul McGann. There wasn't technically any wait between Sylvester leaving and McGann being announced, as Doctor Who was never officially cancelled, therefore it was never officially announced that McCoy was leaving and someone else was taking over. But there are a few options for when the 14th Doctor will materialise. The first option is that they will wait as long as they can until the regeneration to formally announce it. Now, this is more an idea that people have kind of wanted to happen, rather than one I think is actually feasible. A lot of people suggested that they'd like a regeneration to be more of a surprise, and while I understand why, it's not really feasible with the way filming works in so much as you'd have people who would leak who the 14th Doctor is on the set of filming before it could be formally announced, and the BBC themselves likes to be ahead of leaks, hence why Russell T Davies was also announced when he was, and why that probably felt quite premature was because they wanted to be ahead of the leaks. They wanted to have that announcement for themselves, and it would very much be the same situation with the 14th Doctor. So I think to all the people saying they're going to wait until the regeneration for us to find out, it's not going to happen because assumedly Russell is going to start filming at some point this year, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to wait that long. The second, and what I believe to be the most likely option for when the next Doctor is going to be announced, is sometime specifically in March. Now there are a couple of reasons why I think this will be the case. First of all, if you look back at the timeline for when Russell T Davies first took over Doctor Who, there are some interesting parallels between it and what we have now with him returning. For example, Russell T Davies helming a new era of Doctor Who the first time round was also announced 2 years before it would actually come to screen in late September, as was the announcement that he would be taking over Doctor Who for the 60th anniversary and series beyond. In fact, there are only a few days between the two announcements. And so therefore, if we assume that the timeline of events for Russell's previous era is a benchmark for his new era, then I think it's safe to assume that his new Doctor will be announced sometime this following March, as that is what happened with Eccleston, who was, of course, Russell T Davies' first Doctor way back in 2004. Another reason why it would make sense for it to be March is the fact that the 26th of March marks the anniversary of RTD's first Doctor Who story, first TV story I should say, Rose, so there's a nice bit of synergy there between the old era and the new era, and I think that would just be kind of cute that the new Doctor for the new Russell T Davies era would be announced the same month that the first story of the original RTD era, the one that kicked off the entire revival, happening in the same month. I think that's just really nice. There is also the fact that there are some, what I can only describe at the moment as murmurings, that the new series of Doctor Who will begin filming sometime this spring. I can't confirm that. And so if that is the case, then as I said before, the BBC are going to want to be ahead of the curve on that. So they are probably going to announce it before they start filming. And assuming spring is like April, then March makes perfect sense. Editing theories here, just making a quick addition that of course we do in fact know that it was confirmed that RTD had started auditions for the 14th Doctor a couple of weeks back, which kind of adds credence to the idea that the 14th Doctor would be announced in March, as you'd assume that the casting process would be all but done long before then, so March, again, perfectly viable time. We also know for a fact that Legend of the Sea Devils will air at some point during spring, so if they were to announce it before that episode aired, it might give a boost to that special, as I'm not sure how much interest the general public are going to have in what seems to be quite a standard episode, with the exception of the Sea Devils, but that's mainly a fan-pleasing thing, so it could definitely provide a boost to that one as well. And there is a third option for when the 14th Doctor is announced, which is basically that it could literally be any time now. They could wait for Comic-Con, as I highly doubt Doctor Who will have any other form of presence at Comic-Con this year, given that there isn't a series to show this year, other than if they wanted to promote the Centenary special, but I highly doubt they'd go to Comic-Con just for that. But yeah, as I said, I think March is the most likely time period. I think it makes sense. I think it lines up with the patterns that I've seen from the first RTD era, and yes, they could just be a coincidence, but it is a hell of a coincidence that it's days apart, and plus, for all the reasons I mentioned, the rumoured filming times, the timing of the anniversary of Rose, and the boost of Legend of the Sea Devils makes me believe that March is the most likely time in which we could find out who the 14th Doctor is. But let me know in the comments below when you think the 14th Doctor will be announced. Comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, please do, I really would appreciate it. Like this video if you enjoyed. Quick shout outs to Debs Iona, Simon Ashley, Shane Smith, Patrick Mewson, Ree Kevin, Seb Lowndes, Jay Monroe, Preston, and Hash Shandycoot. If you want to become a member, feel free to do so. It really helps out. You get exclusive posts, shout outs in every video, and even your own badge and custom emojis to use during live streams. And I will see you later.